helps me move forward. Life is no longer stranded. The world is grand. Life is in my hands. Love always helps me move forward. Always cultivate before time fades away. Time passes, blink of an eye. We cannot go back in time. Let's get together and strive forward. Love always helps me move forward. Make my life shine and be the star of life. It's always bright. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time is ticking and slipping away. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move forward. Happiness in my hands. Life is so grand. A voice in my heart helps me move forward. Life is no longer stranded. The world is grand. Life is in my hands. Love always helps me move forward. Always cultivate before time fades away. Time passes, blink of an eye. We cannot go back in time. Let's get together, stride forward. Love always helps me move forward. Make my life shine and be the star of life. It's always bright. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time is ticking and slipping away. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move forward. Happiness in my hands. Life is so grand. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time passes year after year. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and makes my life so grand. An amazing life is always in my hands.
Hello and welcome to our Super Life Secret Codes online workshop. My name is Ryan Sway, and first I'd like to thank Master Sun for providing us these great tools to improve our lives. I also want to thank our panelists and everybody watching from around the world. Super Life Secret Codes teaches us how to take control of life using energy management. The book was written as a life manual focusing on the two codes of love and gratitude. If used properly, these two codes can help us achieve success in every aspect of our lives. Okay, welcome everyone. And tonight we are reading in the Abundance book, and we are talking about merits. And when you think about, as we talk about merits, it's positioning in a sense. Merits are kind of like, call it like storage units for our positive energy, for abundance, and all of these things that kind of have a place to stay within your life, like like luggage, if you will, or storage again. For so many people, they do these things in life and they feel that they're doing everything right and it's just not sticking. I know people that feel that when it comes to abundance with money. They're in the money, the deals are coming through, things are happening, but it just doesn't stick, or the deal doesn't fully go through. Today, I was talking to someone who was working on a really big deal in LA and got everything done right. And things like the interest rate and different things started to happen. And this big project they had ended up falling apart. So now it's basically the project's over, and then somebody else is trying to buy the land. And their goal now is just to recuperate some of their investment when someone else buys the land. It'll be like pennies on the dollar. But when you think about that, at the time they're doing this, the guy, a friend of mine, is extremely smart, extremely connected. So they pretty much brought all the right people to this deal. We all know it's a Los Angeles Chinatown market, so it's a market. It's established. So all the things were right, but why doesn't it work? Right? And then maybe next door, somebody else comes along and they build something and it works. So what's the difference between two places that are potentially hundreds of feet apart from each other? That then comes down to the person and doing the deal. What energy do they bring to it? What merits do they have? The more I learn about Super Life Secret Codes, and Master Sun teaches us about data and energy, and even our predisposed kind of positioning. Perhaps it was from our previous life, from things that we're not even aware of anymore. That can have something. Some people may call that karma. Maybe you have this debt that you don't even know about, and that's the thing that makes every little move like a degree off. So these are some of the things that I never really thought about before Super Life Secret Codes. I was exactly like my friend, put all the pieces together, put all the right players, have the timing, everything was supposed to work, But even in my own past before Super Life Secret Codes, there were a lot of these situations too. I remember I had these deals that just kind of fell out of my hands. You know, they were there, and then out of the blue, I think one deal was given to someone else, one of their relatives. But this was like a really big deal, and the opportunity was great. But somehow, some reason, I just couldn't like lock it in. And so now, as I look back, there was a lot of reasons for that. One, I think at that time, I was very young. I was in my early 20s, and I think me as a human being, as a person, if I stumbled upon that type of wealth, I wasn't prepared. So I had very little merits. So I didn't have enough good in me to manage this type of wealth. And especially in your early 20s, like these are the times that easily influenced by things and people. And so I get it as I look back. And then now as I'm older, I look at things, and if I'm challenged for certain things, and I also look at, what have I done to prepare myself to be ready for this? Whereas before, I always focused on the kind of external things. Um, Now I have to look at the internal myself, and try to understand if maybe I am the obstacle here, and how do I improve myself. And then now with Super Life Secret Codes, the answer to that is very clear. Utilize the tools of Super Life Secret Codes, build those merits, have that relationship with our negative energy, and manage our energy properly. So as a result of that, then the outcomes become, the results that we were hoping for. And huge mystery for me up until learning Super Life Secret Codes. No one ever taught me that. If anyone told me that back then, I probably would laugh at them or politely agree to disagree. But now I'm, really grateful that learning Super Life Secret Codes has given me a different positioning to open my mind to these things, to experiment with these things, and then ultimately to be successful because of these things. And that is what I think is, a huge lesson for me to learn, although it took me years to get here. But it's, as the saying goes, better, to be late than not be there at all. So that being said, tonight we will be, reading about merit accumulation, and for some people, it'll help to just kind of clarify what exactly are merits. Um, we've talked about in Super Life Secret Codes. Is it just writing a check? Is it to donate some clothes? Is it to volunteer your time? It could be a combination of all of those. It could be just one of them. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure what we do actually helps another person or people, in order to really build those merits. So sometimes, if you have confusion about or a question about what's actually a merit, that in itself could mean you're a little bit kind of distance from being ready to build those merits. So again, Super Life Secret Codes is a great tool to help prime us to get to that point, to understand, what's positive, what's negative, what's genuinely good for people, yourself. Even learning like Dietsukwe and how to be a good human being will all align, will help align you to be able to build those merits, which ultimately will help you achieve abundance and hold on to abundance. So I think this is a very important section of the book, and looking forward to getting into it. So with that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have Vivian from Walnut, California, and we have Amy from Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, so we will get into the reading, and as usual, the format is dialogue between Master Son and a student. So if you hear my voice, those are the words of Master Son, and when you hear Amy and Vivian, then those are the words of the student. Okay. Looks like we start on page 244.
I will start.
What's this? I think Vivian, you start.
Yes. Are steps 1, 2, 3 for fortune switching the same as our essential practice steps 1, 2, 3?
Yes, there is nothing that cannot be resolved in the world. Secret codes are all over the virtual world, waiting for you to tap into them. I hope all the students and members in our system can achieve abundance in life by using the various simple methods learned from the Super Life Secret Codes or through my seminars and classes. The prerequisite is that you must have accumulated enough merits.
This is like a car without a fuel. No matter how classy or luxurious the car is, it just doesn't work.
So you realize how critical merits are. Without merits, there is no point attending classes or reading books. A practitioner without merits cannot attain significant accomplishment. So, for people who want major accomplishments, your priority is to build up a massive merit chest.
Merit accumulation is the route for life switching. Is charity the only way for merit accumulation? Is there a faster way?
You have touched on a very important point. What is the worthiest among all the merit works?
You mentioned last time the work involves uplifting one's spiritual life.
Yes, if you want to accumulate more positive energy, please invite and lead more people into our system. This way, you will get to accumulate your merits faster. Do you think this is a difficult method for you?
Not really. I can share my stories of practicing and the transformation I have experienced after my practice with my family members, friends, relatives, colleagues, and the classmates. It is quite easy to do.
Yes, the learning from your practices and your experiences should be shared with people so your merits will be created. Hence, remember, you do not necessarily need to burn incense, do prayer, or make donations. We can create merits from ourselves anytime.
If I make a pledge to share my stories with X numbers of people per week, will this help too?
Of course, making a pledge is the basis towards enlightenment. Think that a pledge is to give yourself a clear goal. Without a goal, and merely wishing that tomorrow is better than today, coupled with the absence of merits, you will most likely end up like the hamster on the turning wheel and running in the same place for 30, 50 years. Do you know why you cannot reap the benefits of positive energy?
Lack of merits.
Yes. One student, after listening to me about generating merits by sharing and leading people to our system, brought 5 people to the class. These 5 people were very happy and started practicing our system. The student was very satisfied looking at the acceptance and transformation by his friends. From this process, he has generated merits as he rejoiced over other people's merits and generated self satisfaction for himself.
Now I realize that rejoicing over others' merits also generates merits for ourselves.
There are many ways in the world to generate positive energy. They have existed since ancient time. In the past, you did not know how to leverage on them, but now you do. Now that you know, you should put them in good use. From the second you encounter the Super Life Secret Code system, your positive energy has been triggered and mobilized, and you have received the blessings from the universe. So stop all the blame and complaints and keep striving forward to receive the energy and blessings from the universe.
Yes, I want to avoid all the bad fortunes.
When you are away from negative energy, you will attain abundance in all matters, including wealth and social relationships. Your whole life can be impacted by just one concept. There is nothing greater than the sun. Keep focusing on your practices to an extent that you are immune to any external changes or triggers. Okay, you can pause there. Vivian, would you like to share?
Yes, Master Sun emphasized here that accumulating merit is the foundation of transforming one's life. The most important work is to uplift one's spiritual growth. If we want to accumulate more positive energy, we should invite more people to join Superlife Secret Code system, where we learn the universal laws, the concept of karma, and the energy concept. In particular, Master Sang encouraged us to study Mr. Tsai's Dizi Gui, which teaches the important principle for proper conduct and interpersonal relationship. Ordinary people often pursue wealth, status, and then material success. However, if one cannot even manage the most basic principle of behavior conduct, for example, they constantly complain, calculating, being jealous, or hurting others from the back, it is impossible to receive the blessings from the universe. And I feel deeply grateful to be part of Superlab Secret Code Systems members, students. By sharing what I have learned with my friends, I realize how valuable it is to spread the true laws of the universe. This reminds me of a recent conversation with a friend. She mentioned feeling uncomfortable after observing certain situation at her workplace. Although she's always like to me, I think she's always kind and gentle. However, when she faces with challenges, she tends to respond with a lot of criticism and complaints. And I'm grateful for such opportunity to communicate with her and then share that complaining doesn't solve any problems. It only worsens one's mood and become emotional. Additionally, when encountering someone who has caused trouble before, the negative data stored in the mindset, leading to assumption like, hey, this person will behave badly again. So isn't this the law of attraction in action? What we think becomes the dream come true. And I'm also thankful for Master Sang's reminder. Many people go through their entire lives filled with complaints, believing that everything is someone else's fault. Such a life easily misses opportunity for good things to come, and missing those opportunities leads to even more complaints, forming a vicious cycle with no resolution. So I truly appreciate I can study Superlife Secret Code because of cultivation involves refining and adjusting our mindset, developing wisdom, and then elevating one's energy. And like our talking, okay, talking also carries energy. So masters are always say, hey, before we speak, and we should give ourselves like a golden pause, like 6 seconds. And in that moment, we may calm down ourselves and gain clarity. And when things are handled with patience, they can be resolved more harmoniously. When people slow down and then for what they before they speak, they will find a peace. And then like Dizi Gui, Mr. Tsai teaches us, sometimes speaking less is better than speaking excessively. When it is necessary to speak, we should do so with harmony and caring, avoiding words that may hurt people. I'm glad my friends strongly resonate with this perspective. And after listening my sharing, she said, oh, I need to do self-reflection, examine myself. So it's so wonderful. And then, sorry. And additionally, my friend complained that her supervisor often speaks in a way that he thinks he's he's humorous. But actually, she thinks his words actually is quite hurtful. So this gave me the chance to share with her about Dizi Gui. And when we encounter such a situation, we should treat others as a mirror. To reflect on our own behavior. We should recognize, okay, both our strengths and shortcomings. When we see others doing things wrong, and we should reflect on ourselves. If we have similar thoughts, we should correct ourselves. If not, we should remind ourselves not to treat others the way we would not want others, we would not want to be treated. So I'm grateful that my friend is willing to accept my sharing, and even more grateful for the guidance of Master Sun, which I can apply the universe truth in the daily life. Thank you. This is just my sharing.
Thank you, Vivian, for your sharing. Yeah, as you mentioned, our words are, the things we say are very impactful, and that carries a lot of energy. Earlier today in a workshop, I had this participant, and she's very interesting. And she's what we call passive about a lot of things. She constantly says, that she doesn't have negative. She doesn't think about it. It doesn't register with her. She's passive towards that. And I said, well, that's good that you don't, think too much about the negative. But she doesn't recognize that, the words that she says to her family members carries energy. She carries energy. So if you think about that, a person, if you like a person and that person walks in the room, the energy of positive energy, comes out, right? If you dislike someone and they walk in the room, they don't have to say a word, yet you already feel a certain way. And I think we all had that. I know in Vivian in the workplace, she shared in the past, there are people that, obviously like and dislike or have challenges with. We all are like that. So think about that, the energy that just comes with the face of a person or a person's name even. So think about, so the words we use are also very important. How does that affect? What energy does that bring? And so this woman, she would tell me, she would hug her mom and, kiss her mom and say, I love you. But then on other times, she said something that today was very interesting. She said she would remind her mom, like, oh, her mom's a lot older now. She would say, oh, I remember when you were young and you did this and that. I miss those days. And then she felt like that was a positive thing. And I said, what if by reminding your mom of these things, potentially that could be negative, right? So your words are very important. Even though your intention is maybe to be cute or to be nice, we have to understand that the words we say can affect someone. For some people, that these words can be like piercing their heart in a sense, right? Um, in movies or in your own real life, if you ever had to break up with someone and you see in the movies where they try to, be as nice as they can, they say, oh, it's not you, it's me. Like all those words at that moment, they're all devastating to another person who's losing something. So we have to recognize, the impact of that. And that's part of the energy management. And so if we are trying to build merits, again, not just words now, but also some action to have the combination in order to actually be effective. Otherwise, we're just saying things, but we're not actually, doing, then the merits won't happen. So it's a combination of things. I think it's a progressive learning. For those that are just learning Super Life Secret Codes, we have to recognize our words are very important because they carry energy. And then as we get more advanced into it and we want to build these merits, we have to realize that our words and then our actions, and then even the actions of those that we say we bring to Super Life or we share or we try to help. All of those things come together, and then that's the kind of full cycle that really can help benefit us and others. So with that, thank you, Vivian, for your reading and sharing. Moving on to the next section, Amy and I will be reading and sharing. Make a spotlight here. Okay, so we are reading on page 247. I believe you start, Amy.
Okay. I am very faithful to our system. However, I'm rather passive. What should I do?
That is because you have not used the right method. Now that you have learned the valuable secrets, I am sure you'll be able to do what you need to from now on. Have full confidence and do not delay making changes anymore.
Do not delay making changes. But if it is a year of offending tai sui, and we are always advised to be conservative and avoid changes during such a year, what should we do?
Offending Tai Sui can be explained scientifically. It occurs because of the interactive gravity among the planets, the influence of which gets transferred to the fortune of humans. Superlife Secret Codes, on the other hand, works on leveraging on the energy of the sun for protection and blessings, so that we are always blessed by light. When you are full of positive energy, your state will be good and resistant against the impact of astrological influence.
That's wonderful. We even have solutions for the innate astrological cycle.
That is why we always say when you work on spiritual practice, you directly work on your wisdom. Some people always call for wisdom enhancement, but they have not exhibited much. If you use the right method, you will accumulate vast wisdom and you will achieve tremendous learning from life. You will gain a full understanding about the comprehensive and interrelated effect of the universal truths, and you will develop a smooth flow and positive energy. This should be the kind of wisdom you aim to achieve.
Wonderful. Interrelated effects. What does this mean?
For example, you attended a flower viewing at a park. The rest of the people were admiring the beauty and the bright colors of the flowers, but you get to appreciate and feel the vitality and the language of the flowers. You even sense the great energy brought forward by the rich emotion of the flower kingdom. You soaked in the greatness of the universal environment.
Beautiful atmosphere.
Learn to feel the universe. Treat your daily life like a textbook. These are all highly treasured resources to facilitate our learning to acquire a higher level of wisdom. Everything in the universe exists with love, and they are here to facilitate our learning. We should appreciate and respect them. You should work on mutual facilitation and not competition. When you have mastered this concept, you will be able to put it into great use for your attainment. You will be rather unwise if you do not make good use of it.
Everything exists with love. What does that refer to?
We should hold true the concept that everything exists with love in our state of life. Everything, including floral and fauna, as well as objects, and it is possible to communicate and connect with everything. If you understand this concept, you will have much more opportunities to leverage at various occasions.
Can
Can
you
you give
give
us? Oh, sorry. I got ahead of myself there.
Okay. Can you give us an example?
For example, you have a bad emotion. When you reach home and you see the white wall, you feel this wall looks ugly and creates a negative image to your home. As a living being, you drive the communication between you and the object, the wall. Hence, the feeling that arises in you after looking at the wall is a result of your own emotion triggering the emotion of the object. In your conscious mind, whether you can receive a fortunate state depends on your own mindset. If you can feel love in everything, you will stop criticizing the wall. In fact, you will start to compliment it and discover its beauty.
In our daily life, we should believe everything exists with love and treat everything with love. This is part of our spiritual practice, right?
If you can hold such a mindset during your operation of life, the universe and spiritual world will be able to read your beautiful mind and will mobilize resources to facilitate your path towards abundance. It is important that you leverage on your good knowledge and logical judgment to apply such practice well. Okay, we can pause there. Um, so for this section, I think the key point here is everything in the world exists with love. Earlier, as I was sharing about that woman in my other workshop, and I'm talking about being passive, that's if we're passive about negative, perhaps we're also passive about positive. And then we start to look at things in somewhat of a neutral, like a numb version of life, if you think about that. Some people are numb to the world because of negativity. And as a result of that, the numbness, if you think about taking a shot or something that, numbs something, it doesn't allow you to feel pain, but it also doesn't allow you to feel the good things too. So like think about when you go to the dentist and they numb your mouth and different things. If your tongue is, numb and that part of you don't feel them, stabbing it with a needle or cutting it, grinding it, but then you also may not taste things as much. It's, the good food, the taste of things because it is numb. So as we learn to manage things, we have to understand how we're doing it. Are we being numb? Are we being deaf? Are we ignoring certain things? Or do we actually know how to manage it? And so if you have that approach of, everything exists with love, then that's kind of a good baseline to start. And if you find challenges of things, then you contrast it to, the love, and then you kind of figure out, oh, well, the goal is to, have with love, and this thing isn't so good. So what is it teaching me? Perhaps it's teaching you a lesson to then help you find the value out of it, find the good out of it. And that's a very important positioning that a lot of people don't have. I think we live in a world now that people are looking at a lot of the negatives, everything with hate or everything with anger or resentment. Not to get into the politics too much, but in the United States, really, if each party, has a color, if you just wear that color, that puts off a certain energy. And it's really sad now that just having a certain positioning in politics, everything that you do then becomes bad. So we're looking at parts of the world, different parties, different groups of people, kind of half and half. It's not exists with love. It exists with resentment and anger, hatred in some cases. And so when you think about that, then what good comes from that, right? If anything, what we learn from situations with other people, challenges, arguments, or whatever, or even our interactions, it's more how they learned how to cheat me, how they trick me, how they are lying, how they are corrupt, and all these different things. It's not finding the good. So when you think that way, how can you be grateful? You can only be resentful. You can only be mad. So having the positioning of everything exists with love will lead you to a different outcome. And for a lot of people who are passive and they think, oh, you know what? I'll just let it, whatever be will be, right? And I'm okay in this, and then they're okay with me, I think. And that's the kind of beginning of the end in a sense. So like in your own life, think about how many times you feel like, oh, that's okay, they understood me. Sometimes they don't. And for me, when I talk to certain people, I want to make sure that I get my point across, or, if I'm grateful, make sure you say it. Don't just think that it's understood. I think for a lot of service people, or, if you do a job, those that go a little bit above and beyond, that recognize the details, that think things through for other people, really put yourself in their shoes, and then again, put yourself in the shoes of how you can solve their problems, or, help them achieve their goals, then you can really have that effect on people. And that takes a position of everything, exists with love. You want to help people. You want to make them happy. That is a lot different than everything exists with hate, let's say, where then you look at these people and say, look, they don't look like me. They look like these type of people, and these people are bad. Or this, you know, they drive this car, they're wealthy, they're not wealthy, they're poor, they're this, you know, color or this height or this whatever. When we start to judge people in a negative way, they really, you can find almost any reason to make it more negative. So using the everything exists with in a negative way, or hate, let's say, and everything exists with love, that decision by us can really determine the outcome of whether we have positive or negative energy. The other day, yesterday, I was driving, pulling out of a parking stall, and I got hit by another car. And this person didn't even know they hit me, and they started to leave. And so now I'm facing the opposite direction of them. They're going out. So I, make a U-turn. And my first thought is maybe she didn't know. Right. And then, so I got behind her, I started honking, and she still almost left the parking lot and onto the street, but I honked enough that I see her looking in her mirror, like trying to understand what's going on. At that moment, I get out of the car and I walk up to her and I explain, I say, hey, you know what? You hit my car. And she's like, I didn't even feel it. I don't think, almost like, I don't think so. And I'm like, well, you hit my car for sure. I can see it. And so, I talk to her and I say, hey, let's just pull over there. So she's like, okay. So she pulls out into the street and, make a U-turn kind of back into the parking lot. I follow her, and then I'm about to park so she can, I was thinking she would park too. And then we would look at the vehicle. Then she goes towards the street again. And I'm like, wow, is this lady trying to like run away? And so back to it again, honk, honk, walk up to the window again. And it's like, hey, I need to get your information. And she said, oh, I came around, but then I couldn't see you. So I was going to leave. And I'm like, well, no, just pull around again and park and we will. And so she found a spot, we parked, and we exchanged things. So think about that in a situation where someone hit your car. I mean, granted, this was an older woman, like older lady, maybe turns out she's in her 70s. If I had the positioning or disposition of everything exists with hate, I would have a very different outcome. Maybe I would be aggressive, even getting mad, yelling. And then this is a little old woman, and here I come, up to her window. And she even said, she goes, at first she wasn't sure because I was honking. And then I came out of the car. She was a little nervous, right? Like all of a sudden some guy's walking into your window. So I understood that. And, of course I was trying to, be very calm and be, kind of helpful. And we went through and exchanged everything, and I think everything's fine. But again, ask yourself, what position would you be in that situation? Someone just hit your car and it looks like they're just going to leave, right? So I know a person in my life, a friend, who would have literally almost like dragged the woman out of the car, or felt like that's what he was going to do next. And that's because his positioning isn't, when driving, everything exists with love. His positioning is, everybody else drives like crap. And so when they have that, then someone hits your car, you're already like preparing the energy. Your data is pretty much like, if I'm out there on the road long enough amongst all these idiots and, bad drivers, I'm going to get hit. Something bad will happen to me, which, if that's your positioning, it probably will. So we really want to be careful with this. We want to utilize our positioning. We want to utilize mind switching in a positive way. So if everything exists with love, then we start off on the right step. And then hopefully the second step, third step, they all are better and they get us to the outcome that we want. I'm also was working with a another agent for this house recently, and our situation for the people I was putting in the house is not simple. It's a lot of people. It's a marketing type, a social media type content house, just a lot of moving parts. And in dealing with this woman, I realized there's many opportunities to have it go sideways. Um, at times, she was a little bit aggressive because certain things didn't happen the way that she thought it would. At other times, she didn't respond to me the way I thought it was. And so, even today, when I was talking to the tenants that moved in, I said, "Hey, look, you guys, we really need to stay in good terms with this agent property manager because she's on our team and she can be very helpful." So that's, everything exists with love. I appreciated her for all the things that she has done. She helped me accomplish something that has taken months. One of the most challenging things that I've done as a real estate agent was leasing this house, getting a house for a company that I didn't think would be this challenging, and it turned out it was extremely challenging. But in the end, we got it. So she really helped us out, and I appreciated that. However, this is the test, right? This is the alignment of everything exists with love, and then what do your words say, and what do your actions prove? And for me, it is a exercise to remind myself that this is each day you wake up, you meditate, you do steps 1, 2, and 3, and then you focus in on these positive of everything exists with love. I don't use that exact term, and reading it today, it's reminded me of it, and it really is very profound and impactful. And I will use that term more frequently. But I truly believe that having that mindset really can help facilitate things and bring to you the life that you want and hope for and work for, rather than bring you the life you're reacting to that's negative or challenging. So it's really up to us, and it starts again with our inside. What are we working with energy wise? If we are low on energy and we can't quite grasp this concept of everything exists with love, then let's build up our energy. And if you elevate a little bit, then the next step to connect to that everything is with love is very easy. And once you have that, then the momentum is there, and then you really can carry yourself to very positive day-to-day life and overall life. So I hope everyone can experiment and implement it and achieve that positive life or abundance that they're hoping for. So with that, thank you. And Amy and I will now move on to
250.
Yeah, 250. Looks like you start.
Okay. Everything is beautiful if you have a beautiful mind.
When you understand everything exists with love and you keep enforcing this attitude, you will feel that everything is beautiful and your complaints will reduce and finally subside. This also helps improve the accuracy of your judgment and response while improving your social relationships. For example, you used to run a shop with only a few customers, but after putting the mindset of everything exists with love into application, you find your shop is always crowded. This is such a vast difference, and you can do an experiment and observe the effect.
I really want to do an experiment on this. With this, we could just switch our fortune. This sounds so wonderful.
Yes, if you can understand this concept and apply it faithfully, you will be able to switch your state and situation. There are many invisible sources of help surrounding us. If you can properly apply the mindset of everything exists with love, you will be able to tap into the visible and invisible sources of help. You will realize that the visions you used to hold about the world are no longer the same, and your fate starts to switch.
Master, what is the principle behind everything exists with love? How can we better leverage on this?
For example, when you speak with your microphone, it creates resonance with your speakers, but you cannot see the physical connection between the two. Many things in the world work this way, even though we cannot physically see them. Exchanges happen all the time among all objects because of electrical current. There are a lot more exchanges that we don't know about. For example, air flow, water flow, knowledge flow. All these exchanges with humans are possible because we are the highest order of living beings. Yet many of us are unaware of such an ability.
Wow, this really proves that invisible things do exist.
Now that you know it exists, please practice and experiment and turn on your switches. It could be possible that your switches are already on, but you have not put them into good use. When you do, your fate will be changed.
I understand. How can we put this mindset of everything exists with love into application to attract fortune?
For example, when you have time, put a stack of currency notes in front of you, send your gratitude to it, compliment it, create an important relationship and connection between it and you, because money also exists with love. The more connection you create with it, the closer you get with it, and you no longer see it merely as money.
Visualization is very powerful. I really must do my experiment on this.
I always tell people visualization is a tool to enhance our body, mind, and soul. Practice to such an extent that you can touch point, reach the first touch point and grab hold of it. If you can mature your mindset on everything exists with love, you can easily leverage on visualization effectively. Even in visualizing money, because you have resonance with money all the while, the second, sorry, even in visualizing money because you have resonance with money all the while, the second when you visualize it, it will appear.
Can I visualize myself to be in a room full of money?
That depends on if you have attained the corresponding credential. Do not simply do this without proper guidance from the master. It could be that at one moment you happily visualize money all over your house, but the next moment when you leave home, you fall down and break your spine, and the money that you visualized a moment ago completely disappears. You know why? Because your merit level does not support your aspired level.
What is merit level supporting aspired level?
Visualization is a form of energy mobilization. If it is not supported well by your body, mind, and soul, it will vanish. In the process of vanishing, because you have not built up enough reasons to justify your quick wealth, that is a violation to the universe. Hence, the vanishing process will accelerate and may bring forth an accident to yourself. Okay, we can pause there. Amy, would you like to share?
And yes. So on page 250, it talks about this person, like in an Master Son gave an example of a person who runs a shop, but the before and the after version difference is the before version, there was no love. So there's no positive energy. There's no high vibration. So the shop, it's not running a very good business. But after this person practiced love and gratitude, so the aura and that energy is improved. So the shop start to have more business, more people, and it's always crowded. And this example reminds me of recently what my son had shared with me. One day he came to me and then he said, "Mom, I have a question." He said, "I am puzzled by this situation." He said, when dad takes him to compete out of state for basketball, it's always Ryan and Mason, and they would go to different places. So when they go eat, it's just two of them. And he said when dad takes him to a restaurant has nobody, right after they sit down, the restaurant will be full. There will be more and more people coming in. And so he asked me why. He found this is very, very interesting. And when I heard the story, I right away knew why, because that is energy. When we learn Super Light Secret Codes, we increase our vibration, we increase our love energy. So we attract things, and people is energy too. If you utilize or you apply this concept to business, if you're in sales or you're in some kind of restaurant business, whatever, you drive more traffic, you attract more orders and you attract more people. So we have to have this positive magnetic energy so that we can attract abundance and happiness and wealth and good health in our life. So this concept is so powerful and so simple, and it's a matter of we know it or not, and also after we know it, do we practice it? Do we get better and better at it? The more we practice, the better the energy we will have. So everything exists with love. It's so powerful. We started out with not knowing what the heck is love and gratitude. We all think we know, but after we truly apply Master Sun's technique to practice, we know the difference, the before and the after. Once you become better, you really can see the frequency of appreciation of things. Maybe in the past, you only appreciate one thing a day or barely. But then when we truly have love and gratitude in heart, we look at things completely different. And then the appreciation, it's much more profound and deeper, and it comes from our genuine heart. So even when we see nature, when we see people, and down to the very little things we didn't notice, we will pay attention and then apply love to it. And after a while, you would notice that life becomes a lot more, it becomes luckier. And we have a lot of blessings everywhere, because maybe before we only have humans as friends, but now we have objects, non-living things, because we love them, right? So they love us back. So the blessings in life became greater. Even when we go to nature, that just say we go hiking, we go snowboarding or skiing, or sightseeing, we go to nature. But because we have this kind of like an embedded data and a signal on us, because the nature recognize that love energy, they would love us back. Imagine that they can always also protect us for safety when we're out there. People can trip and fall and little accidents can happen, but imagine nature protects us. So everywhere we go, it's much safer, and we become a lot luckier, and things become a lot greater. So we have to utilize it. Another thing I want to share is we love things, non-living things and people. At the same time, we also have to love ourselves. I think that's the thing that we tend to not pay attention to, because our eyes are looking outward, and we sometimes forget about ourselves. Especially a lot of women, and we take care of family members, and we give, and sometimes we forget about ourselves. But Master San teaches us we also have to love ourselves too, because lack of love for ourselves is very hard for other people to love us or to love other people, because it's an indication of lack of love energy. It's insufficient. So after a while, we keep giving and we're going to run out of juice. So make sure we have to recharge and also starting from ourselves. And I noticed that recently I saw a TV show and the host was sharing a story. I thought it's very funny. And she's actually in her 40s. And she said, I really hate this. So she says, tells why. She said she met a friend and the friend said, oh, a new friend, a friend said, oh, you upkeep yourself so well. You look so young. Let me guess your age. You must be 43. And the person got upset because she is 45. So whatever the lady, then the friend was guessing, it's almost her age. So she isn't looking any younger. So in a way, this compliment didn't work. It became a not a good compliment. So, but think about it, if we have full of confidence and we know where we stand, the words from other people don't really affect us. And then another thing that people get is when you get somebody, when you're feeling good, you go to the office or you go to places and a friend says, hey, you look tired today. And all of a sudden we feel depleted because maybe we feel so good about ourselves, but somebody tells you you don't look so good. That's why you look tired. So then our mood would get affected too. And another thing is I've seen someone, like an elder lady, she looks kind of older, and she told the other lady, hey, I think we're the same age. And turns out the other person is a lot younger than her, but she thinks they're the same age, meaning that she's telling the other lady, you look old. So I think what I'm saying is we must learn to protect our aura and also filter. And if we guard our mind so securely and hold truth of our own value and attribute, and all those negativity out there won't affect us. There are a lot. We can't guarantee everyone we encounter is positive, right? In fact, there are a lot of negative people out there. And some people, they do it unintentionally. Some people, they just like to say certain things. So if we can increase our energy and love ourselves, and meaning protecting our heart and our own feelings, and this way we can really sustain, maintain our good energy everywhere we go. That is very important. One last thing I want to share is I recently this funny experience I had. I have a friend, we go out for lunch and we were talking about food, and I told her that I can't eat spicy, almost not at all. And she said, I'm the same way. I cannot eat spicy. I don't eat spicy. But when we go to a restaurant, she ordered the beef noodle soup and she asked for spicy. And I was like, huh? Because the waitress said, you want, what level of spice? Of course, I said, can't eat spicy. And she said, give me spicy. I was like, you just earlier told me you don't eat spicy, but now you ordered the highest level of spice. Okay, so I noticed one thing, I remembered it. And the next time we have friends over and I made my own beef noodle soup, and I put a jar of chili oil, chili sauce on the side, and that chili sauce is very, very spicy. If you want spicy, you put teeny bit, it will really, it gives and it's very spicy. And I saw her putting 2 big spoons, and it's really, really spicy. So anyway, my point is, I noticed that when somebody tells you, I am this, I'm A, but acts completely different, and I caught her multiple times, and I noticed that I think in our society, there are people, they don't know what they're doing and who they really are. So they say one thing and they act certain way. They don't even know that's what they do. So in a way that's in Super Life Secret Codes, Master San teaches us to cultivate is to align our mind, body, and soul. So our body, our heart, our soul are one person, one unit. So we say this and we act this exactly aligned. So when we see people that they are kind of misaligned, and it's hard not for the third person to notice that. And what happened was I noticed when you have friends like this, the things that they say, it takes a whole big discount. The next time she's going to share with me some valuable information, I'm not sure I'm going to believe it. I'm just going to go, oh, okay. And then it goes out of because it holds no value. So I think we can, this is a great lesson also for myself to self-reflect, to also inspect our own self-assess to see if we do that. So we have to catch ourselves, what we say and what we do, and make sure we are centered. That's how we can also sustain our energy. Make sure there's no leak of energy. That's my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for your sharing. Yeah, I noticed that about that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a interesting thing in terms of alignment and sort of being accountable to your words and yourself. And so I think a lot of us have made those mistakes in different ways. Some people may say, like, I entertain a lot, and then you hear people say, like, oh, I don't like to drink, and then that's the guy that like drinks the whole bottle, and you're just like, huh, interesting. Earlier you said you don't like to drink, but now um, and so there are sometimes reasons why that happens. Sometimes it's just a person's personality. But other times it can be a mechanism for people to like want to tell themselves they're a certain way. Like that person in my workshop, she constantly says she has no negative. She doesn't even register it. But when I talk to her about things, it doesn't take but a few minutes for the negative to come out. The fact that she's in my workshop, I know she had challenges. She spent 6 months in jail. She had 6 months in a mental type or some sort of hospital thing too. So clearly there's negative data there that, needs to be worked through. And she's a great example. I appreciate her because she's a great example of the situation of the energy. Even when you try to tell yourself it's not there, or you tell yourself it's okay, it doesn't just change because of that. Energy management is all about it's like a sporting event. The high score wins. So if you have more negative energy and you're trying to change it, it's saying that it's positive, using your positive energy. If you don't have more positive energy, then you probably won't be able to change the outcome. I mean, it really takes effort and having the right system. Fortunately, if you're here and you're part of Super Life Secret Codes, you have the right system. You just have to make sure you have more positive to overcome the negative. And if you don't, it's kind of like saving for something. Build more until you get there. And once you get there, then you can overcome it. But we have to be accountable. We have to align ourselves well. Words and actions, we should try to align, because that discrepancy there can cause chaos within ourselves. So with that, again, I want to thank Vivian and Amy for their reading and sharing. I want to thank everybody online. And last but not least, I want to thank Master Sun for providing us these great tools to improve our lives. Have a great rest of your night in the US and a great rest of your day in Asia. Thank you.